David Hurd. You guys want to move down? You want to? Yeah. It's up to you. We're fine here. Okay. All right, I want to call this meeting to order, the Finance Committee for September the 17th. Roll call, since my clerk is out, I guess I'll do it myself. Present are Joan Fonts, Marilyn Jordan, Donna Bronk, Bonnie Catulli, and Dominic Camerano. Do I have any citizens' participation? They're just banging down the doors to get in. My business. Review of the 2014 Fall Town Meeting warrant. I think we all have a copy in front of us. Oh, before I get started with that, you know what, I'm gonna do it afterwards when he gets it, never mind. Yeah. If I could have the town administrator available.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, I think we'll start with the first one and just go through the ones that you can help us out with to give us our best explanation, and skip over the ones that you're unfamiliar with.
Okay.
Sound like a plan?
Absolutely. Article 1 is the annual operating budget. Because of the manner we voted it with the, when we did the raise and appropriate, we didn't deduct properly for the Upper Cape Cod and then the assessments in there as well. They should have been deducted from the number. So we worked with the DOR, and really this is just a corrective action to make sure that we revote the budget and it'll be in the proper manner to help us set the tax rate and for the recap. So I apologize we have to do the article, but it's actually essentially what fall town meeting's for, is to take any corrective votes.
So is there money attached to that, Derek? Are you going to be transferring money, or you're just amending what, the entire figure?
Yeah, just the motion, so it reduce, and it's really for the tax rate, the recap setting process, so it doesn't change anybody's budget. It just means when we said we were raising appropriating, we essentially raised and appropriated too much money, so it would set us out of balance for setting the tax rate. And it's just by the way the language was. So it wouldn't have any impact on the budget whatsoever.
I'm sorry, Bonnie.
That's fine. So it's just a language adjustment.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially. The number 2, the capital plan, that's not ready yet. We're going to have a few items, and the only way that one would be able to go forward is if free cash was certified by town meeting. We're on pace to have that done for the first time in, I don't know when it was done last, so I'll say at least a few years, at least since I've been here. So it's pretty exciting to have that done. Now, saying that, luck being what it is, it probably won't get certified, but that's our goal.
Do you have an estimate of what that may be?
No, I wouldn't, and we usually don't. Just
I know, that's okay. Tried to get it,
Yeah.
maybe I forgot to get you on that.
let me put my hand on my wallet, right? Nobody's going to know the money.
Would there be an amount, or will you have a graphically, are you just going to let them, the people vote blind on this?
No, there has to be,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a
There has
money
to be an
figure in there.
amount when we go to town meeting.
Yeah, that's what we do every year for them. We have the item, the amount it's going to cost,
have
what
that
the
big-
overall free cash number is, and once that item goes through, what's left in free cash. So,
How soon will we have that? Will we have it before we have to vote?
it would depend on when your last day to really vote is, because we're still working with the capital.
8th of October.
Yeah, the 8th. It's, I actually don't know if you'll have it by then, so.
It's probably going to be one of those just before town meeting votes.
Yep.
Yeah, because usually we don't know, we wait so long on the capital plan because it's never, we usually don't have to worry about funding it for fall town meeting, so it's in a way a good problem to have. Ratified union contracts, we don't have any to come before town meeting right now. Uh, We do have a few out there that we're still working on. Article 4, transfer of funds from the funds to fund the parking kiosk program. We'll have a better breakdown of that. Right now, we have about 138,000 that's been brought through that fund. I'm going to, whatever we vote on, I'm probably going to try and leave about 50 to 60,000 in the account. Two reasons. One is the onset pier needs major repairs and upgrades in the millions, and we need to start setting aside funds to fix that. And obviously setting 50 or 60,000 aside isn't really going to help, but it can help us towards getting matching grants. Also, if we know that the community preservation, the community events article can have an effect on this one if they seek to have it done essentially retroactively, I think 20% would be 28, somewhere around $28,000. And again, whatever we do will be in the grid shape, that listing, so you'd have, for any other parking kiosk, then the amount of money, then you'd have a list for personnel, because we're looking to have actual meter personnel next year to help track any of the scoff laws and write tickets throughout the whole area, which in addition should offset any of their costs and bring in additional revenues through the ticketing. I also want to have special ticket books created for these areas so that we can better track them, because right now all our tickets go up to Plymouth County and they come back to us. We get the old giant spreadsheet printouts with the perforated edges, and really there's no true list or any way to break it down. It's time consuming. So if I can have them work with us as well, I can give everybody a clear picture of what the ticket revenue as well, because that's an important part of the whole program. So I told you, should have gone in the middle. Now I have to look back and forth. Unpaid bills, we only have one, which is was from the Disability Commission. That's $252.51. That's the Disability Commission didn't have a quorum for a while, and Mr. Newman had been the last member, and when he passed, we just want to clear up this bill. Free cash to stabilization, so whatever certified free cash is, we'll move at least 50% to stabilization per the policy, with a minimum of at least 150,000. Should have brought the exact number, but right now we have about 80,000 in free cash, which is one of the stabilization fund, which is one of the highest amounts we've had in a while. So
How much?
a little over 800. I think it's about 880. I can pull the number up later and provide it.
It's okay.
So Article 2 and Article 6 will probably be last minute with getting the free cash number, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Article 7, the sewer system at Swiss Beach. This is one you're going to want to take some time on. So we know the issues that there are in Swiss Beach, and they're looking at funding an overall rehab of the entire area in one phase. So I think there's a lot of information that needs to be presented to the Finance Committee, to the Board of Selectmen, the sewer commissioners, and to the residents and the sewer payers. So
When are we going to get all this information?
I think we need to bring Mr. Campina forward to show what's been going on, what the estimates are for the project. I believe it's the project right now, it should be somewhere between $18 to $20 million.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah. So Article 8 is to rescind Article 5 of the April 23, 2007 special town meeting. So you'll want all the background on that. I believe that was for the additional sewer expansion and that's to rescind that part because they're not looking to expand the sewer systems as we need to work on the ones that we have under our care right now.
Is this,
Art-
is this the one that that you guys decided not to push to do the one down by the water and everything?
I believe so. Is that the?
That's Mayflower
Yeah.
originated
Mayflower
one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's contract, what would be
what they're calling contract 3 on that. So.
Phase 3. Okay.
Swiss Beach rededication for open space and recreation. I think this is more to clean up the action that was taken when that Swiss Beach property was purchased and to make sure it can be used for recreation and proper open space.
Now, this this still doesn't have a community preservation.
Conservation restriction, I think.
Does it
is
have,
what-
did it ever get the conservation restriction?
No, it's never.
It hasn't.
No.
Okay.
Article 10 to amend the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw section. That's the, and I'll probably butcher, it's essentially the no work zone within 30 feet of a wetland. You can see that there's adding extra language in there, which is bold, which adds, and shall waive or reduce the no activity zone requirements to the extent necessary to provide any reasonable accommodation as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. So right now, there's, within that 30-foot protective buffer zone, there's, if somebody has a disability, there's no clause for conservation to basically waive it for them to be able to open up and go through the property. Article 11 to amend the sewer commissioner law and town charter. Right now, this will really be one to clean up the sewer commissioner act that came through. It is essentially, what went through the second time is a different article than what was passed the first time, which changed the duties of the town administrator to the sewer superintendent, which has caused a few issues in there. As the town charter and such, it's for the hiring and firing is the administration, and then the selectmen are the only ones that can do the collective bargaining. And this article, I think unwittingly, the changes that were made have caused a major issue through labor and how we actually function as a town.
How's that going to affect when we elect sewer commissioners?
It wouldn't affect the sewer commissioners themselves. It's within, essentially the day-to-day activities, and then who can actually hire, fire, who can reprimand, negotiate with the unions.
So this is gonna amend the language of that article in-house. We don't have to send it back to the State House?
We will have to send it back to
Oh.
the state, but it should not affect the actual voting, the actual elections.
And when are they gonna take place? Have you gotten many of the,
Yeah.
April? Did we get the paperwork for people who wanna sign up and get the signatures? What's the time frame?
All elections taken.
Right, but prior to that, you need,
Same system for selecting
Yeah.
everybody else, it's the same election.
Yeah, so if you want any of the information, the clerk's office would have available for you. Nothing gets done. This doesn't create something special where we have new days to act on these. It's all like a regular election. So,
okay. But then this will go back into the State House.
this one will go into the State
Will it
House.
get fast-tracked, since it's already been done, you're just
I-
changing a little bit of language?
I can't promise anything
Won't
from
get
the
fast-tracked.
legislature.
Oh, yes, it does.
Maybe we have somebody that'll be making calls every day.
Maybe,
He's done it before.
right.
We do have, it'll be the motion and the explanation will be informative for everybody. See the changes of the sections, and we do have those written out, and we can start providing those. You know, really, I think tonight would be a simple read through, except for the ones that are truly just transparent. Number 12 is to reorganize the town departments. I have a placeholder because we're often told to act like a private business, but people forget that we have things such as the charter that don't allow us to make rapid changes and broad sweeping changes without bringing items to town meeting and taking action 60 days thereafter. So we've put this as a placeholder. We're working to see how we can basically use some of our vacancies and a few funded vacancies to merge some departments to be more efficient and available for the residents. This isn't an easy one, so I can't say that we're going to have this all hashed out, but I think it's something we've been talking about for years, and I really want to push forward and get it done. So.
Are you gonna have a complete plan, or this is just
Yeah.
it's gonna
No.
be presented?
I'm going to have to present a complete
You have
plan,
to-
including what the changes are. It's technically a charter change, but I don't know if I would have to actually amend the sections of the charter. It's really merging some of the departments, and we have one other department that we're working with as well for a smaller merger. So realistically, as we keep on losing staff and not funding them, when you lose somebody to either a work-related injury or somebody out or anything, we're closing doors and we're not getting any work done. So at certain times, so it's unless the money tree is going to start shaking, we need to do something else. So.
Go ahead, Dominic.
You're blind, Town Administrator. Have you gone over that with the Board of Selectmen yet?
No, that's just a generic outline.
Is that something you're going to do before you bring it to the meeting?
Yeah, I would definitely, I would be, let me put it this way, I'd be insane to not bring it to the selectmen before I brought it anywhere else, or I wouldn't like my job. So.
No, I just wanted to know, what the procedure was for it, so if you bring it to them, want us to
Yeah.
get their approval before it goes any farther.
Right, there's a lot of this is involved in the day-to-day activity, but obviously once you begin with the mergers of departments and reorganization, that becomes part of the policy action too, which is in the Board of Selectmen's arena.
I mean, obviously you're there every day, so if you feel it makes sense and they approve it. Sounds good, okay.
So
Donna?
I guess what I'm trying to, you must have, well, you've got something in your head because you're seeing things happen, and I know people are retiring because of the 4-day week.
Yeah.
I know a couple of them are. But I do hope that where it's here in the warrant, it's gonna go to the selectmen real soon. So we get a chance to look at it and we're not only here to look at it and defend it. That's basically.
All right.
That's what I'm not looking to get involved in your day-to-day stuff, but we need to be able to defend it at town meeting.
Right. Yeah, this will have financial impact, and it's obviously the Finance Committee needs to give the best advice possible to town meeting. And that's whether the Finance Committee believes that it's something that will help or not help the town. So.
Right.
Maybe my question, maybe I didn't word it right, it just seems like, if you haven't brought it forward to anyone, time frame seems, a little bit of crunch time, you know what I mean, to pull up and try to pull off.
Yeah, we had something that we basically had a catalyst within the last 45 days really that allowed this to happen. And that's where we've had a background, we've had an idea in the back of our minds, and why I'm not presenting it or bringing forward is we're really trying to vet it and make sure that it works out before we present anything, because it's nothing's worse than trying to present a flawed idea. You might as well just not bring it and wait till spring. So.
Makes sense.
Well, these are things we've talked about right along, about we have to deal with the financial situation that we're in,
Yeah.
and to make government run as efficiently as possible.
Yep.
These adjustments probably are necessary and a good idea.
Thank you. The Title V septic program interest, this is really CETA manages this program, and this allows them to expend the interest earned from the loan repayments. This is an allowable use by the Mass General laws, and it would probably be best to have Mr. Pina come in and speak about this article and then the next one. These do seem to be every year articles. But since obviously you have to go and defend it before a town meeting, and we have a lot of new faces, I think it'd be worth bringing him forward. And these allow the homeowners to have low interest loans to install septics when their systems fail and such. Article 15, you'll want to bring Mr. Campina in for this one, but right now we have, this is calling a robotic closed caption TV system. When we have to inspect the lines, I think now with the new mandates and such, it's twice a year, but just as general maintenance and when there's clogs, we inspect the sewer lines. Right now, we're hiring out a company to send basically, it's a robotic camera down, wheeled camera to go through, and you can actually see, believe it or not, I've spent time watching these videos. You can go down and see where the connections in, when there's just water flowing down, which means that there's the infiltration, the I&I coming. You can see the spots, and the I&I costs you money, not just because of the amount of flow, but all that water that you're putting into the system, you're paying to treat. You're paying to treat clean water, which really, it's a loss at the end of the day, because you should be treating actually whatever the effluent is and such. So when we hire out and bring somebody in on the system, it can cost up to $200 an hour. We have 2 people that are trained to use this system. These cameras can range in price, and right now some of the quotes we have are between $28,000 to $100,000. And this would be coming from the water pollution retained earnings. Obviously, when looking at, we're going to try and find the best priced option and the one that we think will still do the job. We don't want to buy the Tonka truck with a with a GoPro attached to the top of it. So I think it would be well worthwhile if, I don't know how much time we want to dedicate to it, but by having Mr. Campina come in and just show the video of what the piece of equipment does. Article 16 is the same as Article 1. When we voted, although we did have it come before the DOR, I sent the article to the Department of Revenue. They didn't feel that there was an issue with the way the article was voted. When they came in as part of the recap process, they wanted to be sure, they felt that could possibly be a double appropriation, and they wanted their attorneys to write a better motion. So we're going to use their motion and such into the future and hopefully be done with it. So that's all this article is. Again, it's just the wording. Article 17 really should be part of the capital plan when it comes down to it. We can't afford the repairs on our streetlights right now, and it's become a major issue. And part of them are the period lights, part of them are the everyday lights. And we have roughly about I think they were saying $28,000 worth of repairs that need to be done now. And I'm looking at it as falling under the capital. I literally have no place to pull money for this except from free cash. I'd been thinking about maybe some of the kiosk funds to do this because it's part of something for the community, but I don't think I can really coordinate that as a proper usage of those funds. So we would have to have free cash because right now we literally don't have the funds to budget this, and the streetlight account is only covering, with the way it's budgeted, the electricity, and we have to pay for the electricity. We should pay for the repairs and have them working, but it's not a monthly bill, so that's almost, it's.
Dom, you got a question? Go ahead.
I do. We ever looked into seeing, has anyone ever looked into seeing if N-Star would help us with that? Is that how we get our electricity from now?
Dominic, use the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked into, see if N-Star would help us with that or anything like that?
We're
I'm just
looking for
asking.
them for the next round of LED upgrades to do the street lights as well. The amount of calls and people we're getting for how many street lights are out is pretty astronomical. I haven't seen calls, this many calls for anything.
Right.
So that's,
But I know that, you can call N-Star and say, they'll come to your house and help you with energy saving.
Right.
So why don't we call them and say we are looking for energy saving on our streetlights, and maybe that might be something they would do for us. I'm only guessing, but.
well, they would, but one of the issues we have is with what we put together with Sage Solar, so that solar program to help us save 12% for the first few years.
Right.
We need to have a minimal amount of usage as well.
Okay.
And if we keep on upgrading to the LEDs, we're eventually going to hit below that usage. And you actually, when you're trying to save money, you're going to cost yourselves more because we've dedicated that we will pay that amount of usage.
Yeah.
So we're looking to actually unload some of the sewer contract, and I shouldn't really say unload. We're looking to provide the opportunity to other municipalities to have better energy efficiency.
I like that.
So that's,
There's nothing,
know-
no, nothing in the works with CETA to rehab down there, anything like that?
it's between municipal maintenance and CETA last year and onset on the period streetlights, they spent $92,000.
Wow. I'm trying to actually find that on, this is the updated capital plan.
You're not going to.
It's not on there.
No, you're not going to find it. That
It's not
needs to
on
be
there.
brought
Okay.
forward to the capital planning committee.
Okay.
This has been something, when they finally told me what the amount we're looking at, it does look like it could be triggered under the capital items. If it's not, we still have this article where we could pull from free cash for it. But by our own policy, the only way I would pull free cash for it is if it is truly a capital item, because otherwise we're just funding the operational expenses which we've had to cut. And I don't think that's appropriate, so.
Okay.
Harbor service permits, receipts reserved appropriations account. That's, those accounts can only be spent by the harbor master. He has a list of the items that he would expend. The amount is $44,500. And again, the funds in those accounts can only be used for the specific services. So we couldn't use those funds to repair the streetlights. We couldn't use those funds to hire a police officer or a teacher.
He has, again, a specific list of items he's going to use
He
this
does,
for?
yeah.
So we need to see him, right?
Yeah, he did have it originally in the article, and I asked him just to pull it out because it was another whole page of,
Okay.
and I felt that was something we could do in the explanation rather than have the
Oh, you do?
so. Do you have that part of it? So if we wanted to go over it, we can. There's probably, if we feel there's enough explanation, probably no need for Mr. Buckminster to come in.
So we can review it and then get an idea if we really need him or not. Okay. Yeah, I actually did see this, but it must be attached to something. Okay, yeah. I only have like really one question about this that is gonna probably be a crowd in everybody's throat. And that's the budget replacement of $5,500 for the Cape Cod Canal Festival stuff.
Yeah.
I understand that, you know, you gotta protect what's going on out there, and Wareham's got a responsibility for that. But, you know, they raised the money to do all of these things. Isn't there some way for us to get, the town to get reimbursed for some of that activity?
Unfortunately, all the celebration stuff was within Bourne. We felt there was going to be, and we were warned that there was going to be a massive overflow. They felt onset could have upwards of 50,000 people. They were talking Bourne 100,000. So, you know, at some point, even if they're not reimbursing us and we can try and go at them left to right, we still have to, at the end of the day, fund the public safety. And
That's
the
right.
unfortunate thing is it didn't, but in a way the fortunate thing was it didn't turn out to be that many people.
No.
But, you know, I have to say, an event like that, you could never tell what was going to happen. It's it's once in a lifetime really, with something that size. So I was just glad we were prepared for
Yeah,
it. So.
okay. We'll probably just, we can see if we can get him in time and just go over some of this.
Yep.
I'll make sure you guys all get a copy of this. Do that.
The next item is a housing inspection program revolving fund. So if you remember in the Springtown meeting, we have that article with the list of all the revolving funds, the uses, what happens with the funds. They've been taking in a good amount of money. However, they need to pay for additional inspections to go out, not just have their own staff, but they've actually hired independent inspectors as well. And what happens is when they've reached the 50,000 spending limit, which is also the revenue, the rest of the funds go to the general fund, which I'm happy about. I like that because that means that's money flowing to free cash. However, if they're taking in the inspections and saying that they're going to do them, they need to have enough money to fund the operations, and I don't want money back from the general fund going back in there. So what they're seeking to do is to raise it to $75,000 from the $50,000 limit. I believe they had brought in close to, I thought they'd brought in excess of $75,000 last fiscal year, so there'll still be some funds going to the general fund, and it will allow them to operate for that inspection program.
Does the committee feel that they need to meet with the Board of Health directly on this issue with an explanation?
Well, Madam Chairman, I did meet with the Board of Health, Mr. Ethier, and went through this whole operation with him as much as, went through several things with him regarding the Board of Health being the liaison. And I think we really need to fund this. This program is really working, and it's generating cash, and it's generating safe, decent, affordable housing.
I mean, it's just increasing a revolving fund, which basically is they can't spend
Yeah.
more than what
Yeah.
they have by that $25,000.
Right.
The only reason I'm asking is we're going to be really pressed for time in getting everybody in that we absolutely have to see.
Right.
This is really just expanding that revolving fund. If you're
That's all it's
not
doing.
comfortable with accepting the town administrator's explanation of what that is, if you want to speak to them directly, we can certainly have them in, but it's probably not our biggest priority. David? David, go ahead.
Yes, is this money going to external contractors? Is
Not
this where-
not all
No.
of it. Some of it offsets, like when Mr. Johnson from the office, his hours were expanded just to do the rental inspection program of our employees. There are some of the fuel costs. There's the cost of actually when they're creating the documents that they have for the inspection. So every single cost for the rental inspection program is supposed to come from this account, nothing from the general fund. Now, they do have some people that they hire as outside vendors, contractors, to do the inspections as well, because I'm not going to hire any additional people to keep on doing this, because as you know, once you go past the 19-hour mark, we're going to lose any benefit from it.
One of the things that we talked about when this got put into effect in the beginning was that it was going to save money for the town by doing the inspections up front and not having calls come in from people who said we're living in substandard rentals.
Right.
So is this program being effective?
It sounds like it's helped out with Mr. Ethier and his staff, that they're not going out to as many calls. And actually, one of the interesting things they said, somebody sent in their check and said, "But do you mind coming and inspecting in a month?" So they're cleaning up the property to go through with it. You know, it's
Yeah.
to give you any real data behind it, and say yes, we've seen how much has changed. And I don't have that. I can't tell you right now that we have 100 less of the calls or anything like that. But that's something that we probably should be tracking.
To answer your question, David, the contractors, whomever they've brought in to do it, they're only issued a certain amount. And they have to make their calls, they have to do their inspections and cover their own fuel in that amount. The people that have been in the office doing it cost more money, I think, than the ones that are going out and doing it. And I think it's been from what I've seen and what I've heard from Bob and Suzanne, it's been a huge success. They've had people living in garages being charged rents. I mean, and it's pretty self-sufficient if you run it effectively. And I think, from what I've seen, and I spent, like I said, an hour and a half, it's one of the best run departments in the town right now. The Board of Health is, in my opinion, only.
I love the administration office, but that's just my opinion.
I think they're doing. I think it's new. It's new this year, and I think they've seen and done some things and tweaked it, and I think they're getting there. I really do.
Okay, there still is a responsibility of the people who are renting these places not to rent garages, and recognize that if they're paying rent for a tent, and that's rather absurd.
It happens.
It happens. Okay. Next.
Statement.
So were we not going to have to bring Mr. Ethier?
Is everybody comfortable with the explanation we have, that we don't need to bring Mr. Ethier in?
I don't believe we do, but I would like to get some more details on it,
Okay,
Sure.
just so we're
I'll-
aware
I'll get 'em for
of
you.
what the success rate is.
Okay.
great.
Yeah, maybe we could get some data on it.
Okay.
Give us some figures.
Okay.
Next one is a state mandated measure and list. Every 10 years, we're required to measure and list essentially the entire town. We are playing catch up on this one badly. We have, it's staggered for the commercial and residential, but essentially over the next 3 years, we need to have the entire town measured and listed, and we are, maybe at 40, 50% if we're lucky. This is going to be a substantial cost. We're going to have to hire out. we're probably looking at using, putting money aside and hiring 2 part-time unbenefited people, just going out doing the measuring and listing, as well as other vendors and such. This is going to be a Herculean effort, and this is a lot of this has come from making the cuts in the departments, and we need to see how we're going to fund this department in the future. But we're talking anywhere from probably $250,000 to $300,000 we're going to require from free cash to do this. Some people have said, well, you know, you cut the position, so what did you do with the money? Well, we all know it was used to fund other departments, so we need to put some money back into this, and we know that this is the most important. This is where our revenue comes from. This is the $36 million in taxes.
Madam Chair, may I
Go
ask?
ahead, Donna.
Now, who measures this? Is this like survey people, or is this like,
Literally, you'll have data collectors that go out and do measure and list work. Then we're going to also, you need somebody inside to do what's called quality control and check to make sure that the data's correct. The DOR will sample our data. We need to have an associated with it maps as well as we're having for the triennial. So this is a mega effort, and
maybe we can get some smart interns?
we're looking for interns as well, and this is going to be over the next few years
Yeah.
as well, so we're looking at 3 years. But that's why I'd like to take the money, let's set it aside, let's have it there. We all know there's no purpose to expend the money except to get the job done. So I really feel, you know, we've had other items where we've put the money aside, we've spent the money that was for the project, and whatever's left over, you vote to rescind the article. So in the past, they'd used the Wareham gateman to do it, believe it or not. Unfortunately, that looks like it's not an option. We have asked, and it looks like it won't be an option. But interns are good. But don't forget these. You have to remember, these are people going out to people's houses, and you know, so there's a lot of responsibility behind it as well. But I think the interns are going to be a large part of this, so it'd be a good, you know, I don't think you get many assessing interns directly, but it's more out of the planning and the GIS application. I think this would really be something that would be good. It's crazy that in this day and age, we still need to physically go out and essentially measure and list properties, but that's still the best, truest, and allowable methodology.
How do you, I mean, obviously they're doing this by assessors to the corner of a street or whatever. I mean, I'm just thinking of where I live. And, I mean, you're talking stockade heaven over there, stockade fence heaven over there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, what do you take the owner's word for it, that my property line is on that corner?
Yeah, it's not necessarily, a lot of it's more of the property itself, so the house, measuring the externals of the house and trying to, you know, so you know if you've got a foundation of the external that's 40 by 40 and you see 2 floors and you see on there that the house is estimated at 1,000 square feet, you got an issue then.
I see, okay.
You know, so, but one of just sort of the out there fun ideas is some days when you see that the people that won't let you into the property and such, you have a nice little thing called the measure and list drone that goes out there taking the pictures and the survey and such. So
Do we find like second-story additions we never knew were there and things like that?
you can pick up new growth and such. So this should be. Sometimes it helps fund itself going into the future. So.
David?
Thank you. Through Bonnie, again, how does this relate to the periodic reassessments of real estate that go on?
You have a 3-year. You have the 3-year cycle on there, but you don't need to measure and list everything. They're basically taking samples and putting the fair market value. So the fair market value is every 3 years. The full measure and list is to make sure what the properties have been measured and listed, and that's every 10 years. So the triennial reval is to set the full and fair market value.
But again, in doing that, they go out and physically look at all the property.
Not all the properties, no.
does that mean that the properties that they do look at, we don't have to go back and remeasure, or we have
Correct,
to
if you-
remeasure all of them?
If you've got enough of them that the DOR allows, but we've got some that haven't been looked at since 1996, and that's still within the 10-year time frame. But you know, you'd probably want to catch up on that.
You're an accountant.
Excuse me, 2006. So
Thank you.
you figure out the decades I was having fun in.
We'll pass those by, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you're really supposed to build up off of it every year and have enough. And I think we've got the right person in the department now to really help us go forward and make sure that we don't get backlogged. And really, part of it's going to be finish this one out, get it done properly, and set it up so that we don't have this sort of backlogged issues as badly as we do now. So,
What department is this through?
assessing department.
So this, again, is two items. Number one is the state mandated measure, unfunded, and two, it's making up for lack of work in the past.
Lack of work for unfunding cut positions as well. So at some point, we know when we keep on cutting, there's usually something that you have to pay into the future from what we've done. So, community events fund. I think most of us know about this, and this change for it. It would be 20% of the excise collected under the hotel motel tax, and 25% from the parking meter fund. And they look to have put a cap of 60,000 on it. We know that going into the future, the hotel motel, I believe, was a little over 55,000 in FY14, the excise tax. But going into the future with the Marriott opening up, I think we'll hit closer to 160, 170,000 in FY16, and that's probably with a less than 50% occupancy. So that will be growing substantially thereafter.
Now, you said something about retroactive, but I'm looking at these dates here, just so I understand the legal language here. As of the effective date of this act, now this act still has to go up to the State House, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it won't take effect until we actually get it through legislation.
Right, as it says, and no event earlier than January 1, 2015, but
2015.
you can always have somebody amend the date of that on town meeting floor. So it's going to be interesting to see if if somebody would do that. But if the way it's set up now, I wouldn't have to worry about probably a reserve for what happens, and we just know in the future that it would take funds away.
Joan, was there a reason for the January 2015 date?
Well, we weren't really concentrating on the date. It was more the percentages and the capping,
Okay,
but I can inquire
all right.
and say, yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought it up. Now you might ask for it back.
All right, you want to skip the CPC except for,
Yeah, let's go. Article 27, the Parker Mills Dam
yes,
restoration.
thank you.
To see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money for dam repairs at Parker Mills Pond. Parker Mills Pond is the pond by Tremont Nail by the building. And the Tremont Dam is actually further up, believe it or not.
I
Just
know,
one
I
of
get
the.
confused.
So, and all other costs incidental or related thereto, to determine whether this appropriation shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise, or to take any other action relative thereto. What we're trying to do here is we have a grant available, which is basically a two-part grant. It's $1 million, And 165,000 of it is a straight grant from the state, from the dam and seawall repair, restoration, or removal fund. 835,000 of that's a low interest 2% loan. Now, the conundrum we have is, as a town, we know that we can't afford to pay back, even at a low interest loan, the loan to get that work done. We see that the road is closed. It needs to be done. Besides it being attached to the historic building, we know the type of issue that could happen if a major storm allows the dam to give way. So what we're looking to do is accept the grant with the borrowing from the state, and thereafter, community preservation will pay for the loan back. It's almost what we did with Tremont Nail and Bryant Farm. So without community preservation paying for this, I don't see how we could get it done without making cuts to our budgets.
Can we get, because you talk real fast about grant money available, and I know how these things work. It's
Yeah.
along with
Right.
the low-interest loans. Can you provide us kind of with a little spreadsheet on how
Yeah.
that money configures out? Because it's very hard to explain. I know I also got the motion from legal,
It's from the bond council, should be
from
the.
bond council,
yeah.
okay. So it's actually $1 million that we would be borrowing?
We would be receiving I believe $1 million altogether on it. So 165 of it should be the grant.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I have a question. The project costs 1.2 mil, and we're given a grant of 165 and a loan from CPC of 835,000. There's still 200,000 missing. Where's that coming?
There's no loan from CPC.
Well, not a loan,
Yeah.
but the money from CPC.
The estimate could be up to 1.2 million. The other amounts would be most likely for the road work being done on the top portion, which would have to come from Chapter 90's fund.
So the 200,000 will come from Chapter 90 funds, you think? And what
If you
about
had to pay,
continued
if we had an
maintenance?
extra 200,000.
What about maintenance going forward? Because it says here that we're going to have include a monitoring program.
We already
And
have
undertake
monitoring
management.
programs.
Okay, so who's going to do the monitoring program and who's going to do the maintenance on it? Our maintenance
We already
department?
do.
I know, but the new dam, the
We-
new dam that you put in, it's going
Right.
to cost money going forward. We haven't done anything, obviously, because it's falling down.
We have to monitor our dams. We already pay to monitor our dams, and we have to pay to maintain them. We already pay to maintain them.
Now, when we put in for this grant, how come we didn't ask for removal of it, just repair?
Because there's people that are attached to that with riparian rights. So if we removed it, they could sue us for the damages, for the loss of all their water and rights.
But did we have the Army Corps of Engineers, who did the, I mean, grants are great, except you better be prepared to, you have to afford what you get for nothing.
No, I think you're actually,
So the
you're,
grant is only even, not even 10, well, a little over 10% of what the actual cost of this is going to be.
what usually you'd say that is if you're getting something out of the grant. If you're getting a new car, you have to be able to afford this. What other option do we have?
I like removal. Why? According to this, it's owned by the town of Wareham. I'd like to see that documentation, then, that it's not owned by the town of Wareham, then that private person should be paying something for future monitoring and for the road fixing or whatever else. How come he's getting away scot-free? Well, you just told me that it's privately owned. Well, then, that privately owned person should be paying some of this cost, not entirely the town of Wareham.
So which portion would the cost?
I
You know,
don't care
it's
what portion,
no,
10%,
please, you want to
5%?
know what? I'm going to get a little frustrated here
It's okay.
because
You know what, the thing is that this is mild. This is one person on this committee. I can tell you this is going to be a hotbed of discussion
Yeah.
at town
Kidding.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay? We know this. And I understand that, I mean, it's not common knowledge as to who the other owner is. I haven't researched it myself. I almost don't want to know, okay? But it's been out there that there is, that somebody else owns it or owns the rights to it or owns the rights to the gates or whatever. And we have got to have that answer.
Yeah.
And I understand that, I mean, I know, having been through this in another town where this happened, and in that situation, somebody else owned it too. But it became the town's responsibility when it broke and flooded the downtown of East Freetown.
Yeah.
Okay? It became the town's responsibility. And this is going to be our responsibility when it becomes a safety hazard and it breaches and it floods the neighborhood. We know this. We have a legal responsibility to make it safe. There's definitely no doubt about that. But these questions are going to come
Yep.
up. And as the FinCom, we have to be able to answer them.
Absolutely.
So if there is a legal issue of another owner and whatever responsibility that is, I think we need to know who the owner is.
Yep.
And, you know, if we're taking the situation into our hands by eminent domain or whatever, I mean, it's a roadway, it's so, I think we need to be able to explain that, and I feel like I'm kind of in a sticky situation with this.
We are in a sticky situation because we
Yes.
do have legal reviewing certain things. We have things that can end up in litigation. We have a lot of issues that people may want to know the answers. They may feel they have the right to know the answers, and they don't until we can get the litigation and those items cleaned up. So we, at the end of the day, we protect the town.
I understand. Go ahead, Donna.
Agree with you. I kind of agree with you because I know a little bit of the history back there. And I just don't want to get into any crazy litigation as we've had in the past. Where we've moved away from it. I think there's a lot of facts here and a lot of facts that aren't, maybe can't be known to the public. What?
Use your mic.
Your mic,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry. This is a situation that's probably been going on for a long time, and I think that I don't want to see us get into litigation because we're finally getting away from all this excess litigation. I want to proceed. I want to proceed with the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator. They talk to the attorneys. They have the right, I mean, they know what they have to do. I don't think the public has to know all the ins and outs of it. I think that's what we have them here for, is the betterment of our, that's what we elect them for. If we don't like what they do, Marilyn, we don't elect them again. But I don't want to see, I just don't want to see a fiasco happen, and I don't want, you know.
I mean, the only thing that I'm concerned about with this committee is that we do have to make a recommendation.
Right.
Oh, exactly.
And I think that whatever, you know, legal issues you're going to go between now and then, or now until we take the vote, updating us as much as you can, I think is extremely important, especially with the facts and the figures as to, you know, what the grant is, what the payback is, how this is going to work out. We have to look at that. And whether our decision is based on the public safety as priority one, okay? I mean, there are some, you know, legal mandates that
we
we
have
as a community have to meet, that, you know, the state and federal government could come down on us for if we leave something like that. That is a public safety hazard. So, we will be discussing this
Yeah.
as we go on in the next couple of weeks. So whatever updates you can give us along with that, we'd very much appreciate it.
I personally, Marilyn, I personally think the Tremont nail was the biggest money pit we ever bought in this town. It was never on the positive side of that. But given that we have it, we're liable. So I don't even think we could give it away now if we wanted to.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it does have a street going across it that we own. So we have to take care of it. And we've been down this road before with,
This same dam?
no,
No.
with another situation of quick decision and not looking at all the legal aspects. And I think that we're backing up and
Bit us
making
in the
sure
butt.
that we're gonna do that this time, and being very, very careful. But
I
it
agree.
is,
I think
it's
we
not
need
gonna
more
go away,
information.
except to go down the Weewianica River, Wareham River out there. Okay, shall we move on? I guess CPC, you can't do any with that.
Yeah, the only other one from CPC that's probably pretty easily explainable, and we need the numbers to back up, is Article 30, and that is to actually pay off all the debt from the Tremont Nail loan and the Bryant Farm debt payment, which I believe originally we thought it would save approximately $60,000, but altogether I believe it saves $90,000 in interest. So they have the funds to be able to pay off the rest of the notes. This is the 10-year period, which is allowed, they're callable at this point. If we don't, there'll be another 10 years of the payments on. And realistically, I would like to get this one over and done with.
Yeah,
I think it'll say, we know it's going to save money for the community, and now we can start having payments that can be appropriate towards something else.
okay, I agree. And then we'll really own it.
No.
Sorry, I just light it up.
Nobody ever asked us if we just stopped paying it, would they take it? Article 31 is to replace the inclined wheelchair lift at Minot Forest School. This was submitted by the school department. This was part of the override request they had in there, but this is something that with ADA compliance does need to get done. And I would say the only way to pay for this, though, is through free cash. So if there's no free cash like the other items, this is something I would say that either the school would fund it from their own budget lines and just get the approval to do it through town meeting, or they pass over it. I do think it is
Okay.
a priority.
Okay, so if we don't have enough in free cash, this may be the school committee trying to fund this themselves, or we're just gonna pass over it?
I think I'm not going to tell them that they would have to fund it from their own budget. That's the only thing when looking at it rationally. If it has to get done, that's the only other source of
Okay.
available funds.
So basically, when we're looking at our free cash, then we're gonna have to prioritize
Right,
what our capital items are going to be.
right. I mean, if we look at free cash right now, if you had $1 million, let's say, 500,000 is going to go into stabilization. You know, you have about 300,000 that we're going to need for the measure and list. And believe me, all of our departments, school or town, uses the tax money, so that's the most important one to get done. That would only relieve approximately 200,000 for the rest of any of the items. So, not a lot of money.
Do you have a figure for this project?
I thought that they had put
Yeah.
around 60,000. I thought in there.
Is that on the list, David?
Dave, which one was that? 67.5 or is it? I've either got 57 or 67.5. I thought, and that's going to be a completely different number. So
School, where's school?
My chair is 65,000.
65,000? Thank you, I couldn't find it. Oh, there it is, right there. Okay.
their next item is return Ethel Hammond School to town control. That is the school in Onset. Currently, that's not in operation. However, the Boys and Girls Club are leasing out one portion of the facility. The rest of it is not in use. I believe that they've pulled up some of the old deeds. I don't know if the Hammond School has concerned town council as much as the return of the West School, which is Article 33. West does not have a reverter clause. It just has a clause that basically the option of first option to the old Tremont Nail Company, and it's assessors and or assigns, ISAOA. So that one, they would be able to purchase the property at a fair market value. Whereas if that's a property we're looking to sell, I don't see that as being an issue. So, street layout, this is a petitioned article. The next three are for Bashant Way and Lynn Road. I believe these came up at a previous town meeting, but they didn't have the engineering done. You would need to know whether everything has been approved before you could potentially give a recommendation. This one probably does fall under the Finance Committee because if we accept a street layout, we do have to maintain it going into the future. Article 35 is CETA to convey the land at Bay Point, and see if the town will authorize CETA with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to solicit proposals and convey the so-called Bay Point land as described in a filing at the Office of Town Clerk. Kelly, we can work on getting, I think, that description to the FinCom. It's the property that's owned by CETA that the golf course rents, I believe, something like $28,000 or leases from us a year, and we're looking to see if there's any better usage for that. So we'd like to see maybe some plans for that property and whether somebody would be willing to purchase that and what sort of price. And again, this would be with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, and it would be to solicit proposals, and it is a citizens petitioned article, so I'm sure they could speak about it more eloquently than I can.
It appears though that, just from looking at what you have here, this parcel of land, Bay Point's looking to buy it?
I would say you can't, anyone would be looking to buy it because it's, if I'm going to be putting to be blunt, if through the 30B, if I'm going to be disposing of town assets, I am not going to be referred that anybody has any other shot of it greater than anybody else. So. And then Article 36, amend the Town of Wareham zoning bylaws. To see if the town will vote to amend Article 3 of the Town of Wareham zoning bylaws, use regulation to permit filling stations for gasoline, diesel fuel, and liquid propane by special permit from the ZBA in the general commercial zoning district under certain conditions. You probably want to have that person come in. This is more of a zoning one, so I don't know really. Yeah, yes, I don't know if this is really a financial impact for this, especially with the time.
Am I not correct? How many times have we been here with this? This is the property. Mr. Trace?
It's a different article.
Pardon?
This is to allow gasoline, diesel, or liquid propane by permit from,
Mr. Chris owns, but it's basically the gas company wants to put it in, looking to change the zoning. Right now, in the town of Wareham, there is no gas stations allowed in the zoning. They're looking for a specific change in the zoning for their certain highways. It's a little different from before.
The planning board isn't involved in this?
Please use the microphone, folks.
The planning board doesn't get involved in this because it's a petitioned article?
They have to bring this before the planning board would make a recommendation to town meeting.
Well,
It would have to be brought before the planning board, and the planning board would make its recommendation to town meeting.
so I'd like to, yeah, we need to know what
you have to bring them in.
We need to see the planning board on this one.
We need to see the petition.
You need
The
the
petitioner.
petitioner both. Or
And
if
then the-
somebody would like to go to the hearing, do you know when they're having a planning board meeting on this?
I don't know, yeah.
Not yet?
Hey,
Okay.
you've got inside scoop over there.
I'm not going into that office ever again.
I just say we'd be very, very careful.
Okay, so that's probably, yeah, we'll have to think about that, talk about that. All right, that's it. Okay. We'll go back to that in a moment. I have one other thing, and then I'll let the town administrator go. Although, the gentleman who asked for it is not present at the moment. You have in your packet a memo concerning the EMS report. And I will let the town administrator explain these facts and figures for you. There was an inquiry made by Mr. Worthen. So this was to facilitate an answer to several questions.
Yeah, and it's, actually, as part of this, I've also brought forward and put together some finance committee handbooks and some of the DOR recommendations and the role of the finance committee. We have a few new members on, and it's always tough for me to explain some of the things to the finance committee, because it feels like I'm lecturing people that are representing their own town, which I really hate to do. But it's part of this, and I believe Mr. Worthen had spoke to it the last meeting. Felt that I was less than forthright with information. As part of what the finance committee does, and we had sort of somebody that went, maybe you'd call a little rogue in the past, just a wee bit. It's not necessarily the finance committee's job to go out and try and maybe solicit bids for the EMS and see what sort of response they would get or the costs. And it's, I took a little bit of umbrage, let's say, to that, because I just felt it was way beyond the scope, and that's why the information probably didn't come as fast as it normally would have. I think people sometimes forget that we have employees that we work with, that we negotiate with, and when I start receiving emails that ambulance companies want to be added to the bid that's going on, I have a tendency to have a mini meltdown. So that's why I've put some of the information together. I know that I think, Joan, have you been able to, I think you're the only one that was able to attend some of the finance committee, some of the new member meetings and such from the DOR. Were you able to go?
Recently?
Yeah, or you've gone before, right? Or
Last year.
yeah, last year. It's I know it's hard to make time for it and such, so that's why I'm hoping some of this
Another
will,
one is scheduled.
yeah, will help as well. So sorry for the long-winded introduction.
That's okay.
One of the issues basically at the heart of the EMS is we know that it gives back to the general fund several $100,000 a year. However, we also know that because it's an offset receipt, we are covering some of the ancillary or the in-kind costs, if you will, such as the health and other such items. So this was the breakdown, and also what was requested was how many calls. So you can read this on your own, but I'll just run through it for the public watching. In 2013, the EMS department responded to 3,820 calls, resulting in 2,737 persons transported. The types of transports were as follows: 1,667 advanced life support, or ALS, 1,070 basic life support calls, or BLS, Attached to this memorandum is a spreadsheet with 3 charts to help break down EMS total costs and revenue. Chart 1 lists FY14's costs, including indirect costs that are paid in the general budget. The costs were as follows. Direct costs, $908,568.78. Indirect costs, $232,647.18 for a total of $1,141,215.96. Chart 2 consists of monies that were transferred to the general fund from the offset receipt account, which totaled $303,422.93. So mostly when we have a free cash number, we know that at least, a large portion of that's from this transfer. The EMS net revenue, which we'll call all revenue received after any write-offs due to state and federal regulations, totaled $1,211,911.71. Actual billings were $3,250,633.20. And we know that the difference there is what the write-offs are from Medicare and Medicaid and such. Chart 3 shows the net revenue to the general fund, which is the balance of the offset receipt surplus transferred to the general fund, less EMS-related expenses incurred by the general fund. That figure is $70,775.75. So basically, when you run through the whole chart, we know that over $300,000 is transferred to the general fund at the end of the year. So that's extra revenue that goes to the general fund and will be essentially one of our bases of the free cash number. When we take into account everything that we've spent in there, from the insurances, the building, because there's still a note on that building. I believe you see it in there for the $28,000, the FICA pension amount. They still provide close to $71,000 in complete net revenue at the end of the year. And that was with, if you remember, last year was one of the worst years of having the ambulance down and
you were
having
broken
one.
all the time, yeah.
It was. So we lost many of the runs. So this is something we'll keep track of every year. We know that it is making a profit, and it would make sense for us to keep it going, especially because we started to actually invest in the program, and I think that's something that's been lacking, and that's been a shame on the way we've been operating the system. So we're looking to expand it to hopefully have an additional ambulance and now have an ambulance replacement program, so we don't ever keep on losing the revenues and have other communities patting their brand new machines saying that Wareham essentially bought this by the runs they didn't do.
Right. Okay, just to reiterate a little bit about what Derek was talking about, 2 things. One is, I thank you, Derek, for these handbooks. I may even take one and review some things. But we did make a policy some time ago that requests for information directly from the town administrator or his department heads really need to come through the chair first. And I mean, whatever your request is, email it to me, and I will make that request through Derek, if it's a reasonable request, to meet with the department head or to get that information that you need. The second thing is, I really think that we need to get back to using the town email site, okay? I know some people have had some trouble with it, and we've been copying to private email and things like that, but we're just not going to be able to do that because the information's not getting out there and some confusion is going on. If you're unfamiliar with using the town email site, I can have Kelly do a little step-by-step tutorial, and then she can email those to your private email site so you can get back into using the regular town email site, because it's too many things for her to have to remember to copy all of those extra emails to make sure this information is going out. Plus the fact that we had agreed several years ago to use that email because it is being monitored, so to make sure that we're not violating any open meeting laws. okay? So I really want to get back to doing that. I'm going to let you go.
I appreciate it, and thank
Okay.
you.
Do you have any, wait,
I have
one question for Marilyn, go ahead.
Boo.
Almost, almost.
You know, you bill 3 million,
Yep.
and we receive, I'm gonna round these figures up or
Yep.
down, and, well, they'll all go down because they're all below 500. But we bill 3 million, we receive 1. So, my question is, the concern that's doing the third-party billing for this, do they bid on this, Derek? Do they come to the town and say, oh, we can do it for X amount of dollars? Because I'm trying to figure out why there's such a big discrepancy. 80%, we should be getting at least 80% out of Medicare. Even if we got 50%, it's still more than 1.2 million. So, 1,200,000. So this, I'd like to know the billing company, how they're doing this, and if they're also giving ABNs. I brought this to your attention last year. Advanced beneficiary notices. Every time you go in the hospital with the doctors, you're getting one. We should be giving them out at EMP. Every transport should have one of those in their file, laying across their chest as they get wheeled into the emergency room. So that was my question.
Okay, yeah, the not so simple answer is I have it under review right now. It's actually somebody, it's a resident that's being very helpful, that has some knowledge and background in it, that we've tapped to help us along with it, to help look in this. I have Mr. Evans, the company, this resident and myself meeting to go over all of it, and I'll try and get as much information. I'd like to just go through what they're doing, because when I look at this, I need to know what the explanations is, because if it, like any business, if you're billing and you're only getting about 30% of your billings, and you got an issue.
Right.
So and then I'd like to see from comparable from some other communities and such what theirs are. I mean, are we so out of line on our billings that we're charging 300% more than everybody else, and that's why we're, so. And the
I think
insurance
you may
company.
find that it's the financial status of the population here. Hopefully, I mean, some of this data is only like the past year and prior to that. The fact is, if somebody doesn't have health insurance and they don't have the ability to pay, they don't have to pay. Okay, that's part of our write-off. We know that. So you may find that may change as people are being compelled to have insurance or fit more in some of the state plans and things like that. That might improve a little bit.
Yeah, because Mr. Evans had said this was that had been the write-down amount, and I want to know. Okay, so what's the difference? Because if your billings are 3 million, let's say, and now your write-downs are down to the call it 1.5 million, then we have another level, which is our actual collections. Then it's almost, why are we essentially even billing up there? Because it doesn't make any sense. But it's, I do believe I've listened to him, and why I'm not saying it is I will butcher the responses right off the top of my head, and I'm not looking to give anything that's not going to be 100% on it.
Right.
So.
We appreciate that. Anything else?
No.
You may go, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll leave these. Just here
Yes,
and anybody
thank
that-
you. Okay.
And you can't bring a role and responsibility of the town administrator to the next meeting, okay?
What was that?
You can't bring a roles and responsibilities of the town administrator to the next one.
Oh, well, we are going to hold a meeting on the 24th,
Okay.
okay? I'm going to try to get in, maybe as many of the, these excess as I go, is marking through some of the, like Mr. Campina and things like that. If I can try to get that in, I'd like to do that.
Okay.
Because I'm really going to be pressed for time. October 1st, I have invited the CPC to come in, but I have not heard a response so far. I can't skip the 24th.
So for the 24th, maybe what I can try and do is work with Kelly to start getting the explanations out to the FinCom, because I think it's better than you guys seeing it for the first time that
Okay.
night, and hopefully they'll, you know. So we'll see if we can get that info ahead of time. Do you want to create a list of which articles you want to bring up?
Yeah, we'll
okay.
try to do that. Like I said, I've been writing on the side as to who is what.
Okay.
Because there's two petitioners, but I've also got a question with the last one on the whole zoning issue. And we were gonna leave that for that last date of the 8th. We have to push forward.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast it's coming.
Yeah, there's no other way, and I can't, I mean, I know there was a suggestion to do it on a Saturday. I just can't, and I can't pull people away from other things. I mean, it's bad enough that probably a lot of us are gonna be working through some of these weekends to do the motions and do the other stuff to coordinate. I can't see setting up a weekend meeting to do that, so. I am gonna have CPC on the 1st. If you wanna combine that meeting with the Board of Selectmen, that would save them time in that. But we'll try to,
Okay. All right.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. All right, while we're discussing, I mean, this is pretty much that's pretty much the timeline. We have to have everything, the last of our votes has to be October 8th. So then, where am I? So, I decided that we needed to stick with that 24th meeting. The Board of Selectmen can attend, several people cannot attend, because it is a holiday. But what we're gonna try to do is get some of these other, department heads in. And as I was writing these down on the side, what was I writing here? It looks like we need Mr. Campina. Yep, we need Sal.
Those are kind of.
I know what they are. Yeah, does everybody understand the septic program? The two articles?
Yeah, the way that reads, they get 200,000, I don't know what it is. But, and then people can go to the town and get low-cost loans, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know if we need,
We've gone through it before. Does anybody feel like they need to have it explained to them again? Yeah, it comes across all the time.
Yeah. We have
So-
more important.
Yeah, we definitely need. Yeah, I'm not actually. Campina,
so Mr. Campina,
For
but not
7.
Salpina. We're not doing Salpina, right?
yep.
Okay.
15, which is the remote robotic, I mean, that's. Yeah. We need that, and I'd like to get, the harbor master. That's really only those two. I don't want to waste the day. If we can get the two petitioners in, I think that would be helpful. Yes.
So there's three, there's Steve Holmes, but he's not gonna come before us. That's the one to convey the land to Bay Point.
He's the petitioner, yeah, he needs to do that.
So there's three. Diane Murphy, we're not doing the street layout.
Actually, well, I believe that's a repeat, but I just want to make sure. I know. Alan, this Bouchant Way and Lynn Road, this has come back again. Do you know what the status is on whether they've done everything they're supposed to do this time?
I'll try and answer it. It's a little difficult. The selectmen had a Article 13, which was this particular article. For some reason, and I'm not sure how, it's gone for 5 days, came back Tuesday morning, and all of a sudden there's a citizen's petition article filed last
Okay.
Friday for the same exact thing.
Okay,
So there was some confusion. I don't know why, how. I spoke to the woman who was there, and I really didn't get a completely straight answer. So last night, the Board of Selectmen's meeting, we pulled Article 13, which is the one that we have, which is the way it's supposed to be done. Basically, when someone wants street acceptance, you have to go to the Board of Selectmen's office, apply for street acceptance, and then you go through the process. The Board of Selectmen then contacts the Planning Board, for the Planning Board to come back with a recommendation whether the street meets all the requirements, et cetera, before we could put a warrant article forward. There was nothing in place. They still hadn't done all their paperwork, plus the second article was filed, so we pulled ours. They now have to go before the Planning Board. I've got them scheduled for the 22nd to discuss what they're doing. They'll have to hire an engineer, or the Planning Board will hire an engineer to go look at it, come back with a response, yes or no. And at that point there, the Planning Board will make a presentation at town meeting when this article comes up, instead of the normal way it should be. I'm going to say that unless something spectacular happens, you're not going to be able to, you're probably going to end up with the Board of Selectmen as well having a no-action vote, because we won't have the information in time,
okay.
unfortunately.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're really, actually, what we're gonna need is, we're gonna need to find out whether the planning board, both of these articles, whether there's going to be a hearing on both of these, and whether it's going to be prior to our vote. If it's not, we can't make a decision. We've come through this before.
We need to go, we need to see what the planning board, I mean, we can't.
Yeah, I mean, it is a financial situation that we accept the road, but I do know that there have been a lot of these roads that they haven't been accepted, and yet they've been maintained along the way. I don't know this one specifically, but I know there was some work of getting some of these cleaned off that the Board of Selectmen was taking care of, and we certainly don't want to hold that up for the betterment of the town. But if we don't, we went through this last time it came around, that there just wasn't enough information.
I know there's two of you, the brand new developers.
Yeah,
Brand new, so they work, but I can't see it really much besides tomorrow.
right.
You know, I don't think there's much, they do it.
I doubt we're going to get them in, or I doubt that it'll be before that hearing. Yeah.
Trying to get them all the same night?
Yeah, the 24th.
Yeah, I need that as well. I put zoning on the bottom of that one. Where'd I do that one?
You have to remember, the zoning bylaw is not being submitted by the Planning Board. It's a citizen, it's a,
Should get their recommendation from them, no?
no, they'll make the recommendation at town meeting.
Okay,
That's how it works.
all right,
Because if not, if it was a Planning Board article, then the answer would be
Are you
yes.
able to make that one?
But we should kind of know what they, to support them, shouldn't we?
I don't, I think it's outside the jurisdiction, is my 2 cents.
It's outside their jurisdiction?
No, the Finance Committee's jurisdiction as far as the actual zoning part of it. You know, as far as what they're doing, the Planning Board will say, yes, it's acceptable, or no, it isn't. That's all I'm getting at.
Well, I understand that. I mean, we don't get into that situation. We're just looking at whatever the financial impact of changing a bylaw is, as far as that goes. But I have a question with the Article 10, which is amend Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw section. It's actually been submitted by the Board of Selectmen,
That's correct.
but is it a zoning issue?
No, it's an ADA issue. It's a zone, it's a conservation 30-foot no work zone,
Okay,
existing zoning bylaw,
okay,
but the Board of Selectmen have filed an amendment or an adjustment to that particular existing bylaw to correct an ADA issue that we've been notified that we need to correct or else have a
Okay.
problem.
All right.
So you can ask the Board of Selectmen to come before you, or if there's a
No,
joint
I just
session.
waned to clarify that, whether it
It's
is
not,
or it
it's not
isn't.
coming from the
I mean, this
Conservation
is pretty
Commission.
much, it's an ADA mandate, you can't,
We're-
There's nothing you can do about it.
to be in conformity with
I
it.
can't give you a lot of detail because it's executive session involved with this as well as with the dam. All I can tell you is that we are under the gun with an ADA potential complaint. That's what, we went ahead
Okay,
and did something to fix that issue so we would not end up in a lawsuit for the town of Wareham. And the dam is the same kind of issue. We're under executive session for all the details on that. We cannot explain it at this time.
That's gonna be a hotbed of coals.
it
Well,
it
it's
is.
the road that has to be fixed, Dominic. The dam itself is not collapsing. The dam itself is not going to be replaced. The dam would be repaired.
No, I understand all that, I just know
It's
that.
the road issue. The state came by, was doing work on Route 28,
Right,
and noticed the road was going up and down.
okay.
So the issue was the road. Got to remember, this was way back in 1900 earlier. This road was a county road. A lot of background work has to be done on it.
Yeah,
And the property was transferred 3 or 4 times. And the town of Wareham ended up with it when they bought the factory, but before that, there was a lot of transfers.
you feel you guys got it all straightened out now?
Well, there's riparian rights on the water, there's riparian rights on the spillways, et cetera.
Yeah,
it's
no, I
just
hear you,
the way
I
it
hear
is.
you,
It's not simple.
yeah. Not at all.
All right, so, as I said, we are really gonna be under the gun, so the 24th, I know that there was at least one person who can't be here, I already got an email about, but I need at least a quorum here, which is gonna bring me to another subject, but let's stick with this for now.
So we're gonna meet every Wednesday
Yes.
from now till town meeting?
Yeah, until the 8th. and
Everyone,
we have-
okay.
We have to have everything finished by the 10th. That's the last day to get all the information together to Kelly for her to print over the weekend. And then town meeting is the 27th.
So every Wednesday, that's all I need to know. Okay, I'll be here.
I don't know that we have anything at the moment to actually vote on here, or recommendations, except maybe for the two that are just fixing language, which is Article 1. Thank you, you take such good notes, what did I do with that? Oh, here it is, Article 16, which is to fix the language for the Department of Revenue on the budget for the 2014, the 2015 budget, okay? I will entertain a motion of,
Is that Article 16, you said?
yeah, Article 1 and Article 16. Let's start with Article 1, which is to see if the town will vote to amend the annual operating budget for the town for fiscal year 2015 as voted pursuant to Article 6 of the annual town meeting held on April 28th, 2014, and April 29th, 2014, or to do or act in any manner relative thereto. That is to correct the language to deal with Upper
The
Cape.
Upper Cape.
Yeah,
Could someone explain that?
Oh, you weren't here, David, I'm sorry. You have that, the DOR wasn't happy with, you know how we offset the Upper Cape and the water pollution control indirect costs? We had set it in the budget to offset them
Yes.
on the budget to compensate for each other. The DOR wasn't happy with the way that it was written up, that it appeared to be double posting of it. So they want to correct those errors. So that's what these two articles are going to do, to go back and correct the way that Derek had posted them in the budget.
There's no change to the total.
No, there's no
No.
change to the total. It's just that the way that Derek had presented it, that way it appears to the DOR as if it is double posted. Okay?
the second one's the water pollution. Number one,
Yeah,
One
no,
is about
Article
Upper
1
Cape.
and Article 16 is the same issue.
Right.
Can we take each one individually,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
All right, so there's no change in the amount of monies allocated?
No change in the amount of monies. It's just the way that it was written up. The motion will appear a little bit differently than this, to more define what they're talking about, and the DOR was happier with that legal wording.
So are we going to vote on these tonight?
And we can get rid of
Madam
those two if everybody is satisfied with the explanation and the understanding of it.
Chair? Well, I move that we vote on Article 1. I move favorable action. Is that the favorable action for Article 1?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
One abstention.
And then Article 16, which is again correcting the language on the water pollution control facility, salaries and wages expenditures in accordance with Chapter 44, Massachusetts General Laws, to defray the operating and capital expenses of the water pollution control facility. That was that number that he put in, which is actually the employees' benefit line, the employees' benefit part, which is actually on the town side. The way Derek posted it to show how it actually goes to water pollution control, this is what the DOR didn't like, okay?
It's a matter of just cleaning it up.
It's just a matter of cleaning up the language.
Yeah. It's wording. It's only wording only, so.
I will entertain a motion on that.
I make a motion that I make a motion for favorable action on Article 16 regarding the water pollution enterprise fund.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Against? Abstain? Okay. So we cleared out at least those two that we know we can do.
So one is 501 and 16 is 600, correct?
You're right.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all we can really do tonight.
That's really all we can
Yeah.
do today.
Well,
I
you
wanted-
could probably do 5 to the unpaid bill.
Oh, yeah, we could probably handle that. You want to pay the unpaid bill?
Yeah.
I move for favorable action for Article 5 to pay the unpaid invoice to WB Mason in the amount of $252.51.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain?
You could, 3 really,
Well,
3, you got the contract, I mean, you can wait, but,
We probably should.
okay.
I don't know.
I'm going to see a problem after when I get home. I want to look at with all of these free cash pending items. I mean, free cash to stabilization, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be 50% of whatever we have for free cash. We know that because that's been mandated. That's a policy now. But we're probably going to be at the last minute on picking and choosing. Derek did say he would itemize the priorities, obviously. But that's going to make it a little difficult for us to vote approval of some of these items,
What
because we're
about-
not going to know.
What about Article 4?
So,
Is that just seem plain and simple to me, but no? You want to
Capital.
wait on that?
What, capital, number 2?
Now, do we know have the selectmen voted on these yet?
no.
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 So we're voting before the selectmen are.
Just on the housekeeping ones, that's what I said,
Yeah.
we could get rid of those, because we know what they are. Some of the dollar figure ones is where it's gonna be a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
I mean, Derek did say there was, what, $138,000 in the parking fund account, he wanted to
Yes.
leave at least. Were you here when he was talking about the parking meter stuff?
No, I was
No.
not, but
Okay.
I would prefer to wait on any of
Yeah.
anything financial until
Yeah.
the selectmen.
He said there was 138,000, right, what he believed was in the account. He wanted to leave a cushion of 50,000 to start putting some money away to do some repairs on that pier, okay? And the only thing that might affect what is gonna be built up in there will be if the CEC article passes, which would alter that percentage a little bit. But not by a lot, obviously. And they want to expand the parking program, and also, he said their tickets, they're like specific tickets that he wants to get, a ticket program where he can start tracking what sort of revenue our tickets are generating for the parking thing. Right now, all tickets are going to Plymouth County, and it comes back to him on a big, massive spreadsheet. All right, so he can't break down what's a speeding ticket, a parking ticket, what's a, you know what I mean? So he wanted to do something specific. So he's trying to make sure that this parking program is actually self-funding itself. So leaving some of that money, 50,000 in there, and then using the rest for, you know, ticketing program and expanding the program. So, but we're gonna leave that one for now.
I mean, Article 3, I know it's a money thing, but these are union contracts. There is
There
nothing.
isn't any, that'll get pulled.
Oh, number 3 is gonna get pulled?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not,
Okay,
they're
all
still
right.
working on a couple, so unless anything comes through between now and town meeting, or now and the 8th,
Yeah.
we'll make a last vote if Derek has anything that's ratified before then.
All right.
Excuse me. But right now, it'll probably just be passed over because there aren't any at this point,
Good?
all right? I don't know that we actually want to assign anything at this moment. No. Yeah. Right, but we're gonna have to work on that.
Do you have any dates that you want to bring these people in, or are you going to let them choose?
No, we're gonna do, I actually met with Kelly a couple days ago, in the middle of last week, about trying to get a timeline. We're trying to figure out whether we could have skipped the 24th, because we wanted to have a joint meeting between the Board of Selectmen and ourselves to try to bring in the proponents all at once. That's not gonna happen, because we can't do it in one meeting, and
Right.
that's all we're gonna have. All right? So, we do need to meet on the 24th. It is Rosh Hashanah, and I know some people can't be here. If you definitely can't be here, just email me, and I'll decide whether we can find a quorum or not,
24th,
okay? So we're gonna try to get Mr. Campina to deal with Articles 7 and 15, the harbor master on his article, and the petitioner in. Yes, it's a Wednesday. And the petitioner's in. Then October 1st, I've invited the CPC to come in and do all of their articles. I have not heard back from them yet, but that will be their only opportunity to meet with us.
Did you talk to Angela?
She emailed me and asked to be put on our agenda. We've given her the date, but she hasn't accepted it as of yet. And that's only gonna, like I said, leave us till the 8th. Now, any other background information that you wanna get, I'm a little curious about something, and that's Article 9, because it just popped into my head, this whole thing with Swiss Beach Road. I may have to look through or go talk to the clerk's office. I would like to get a copy of the original motion, all right, when it was turned over to CPC. Because we're talking about rededicate for beach and recreational use in perpetuity. And I would like to know, I mean, I'm not historically a wizard at remembering everything that ever happened in this town, but I would like to know what the wording was, how it was purchased through CPC to start with, because I'd hate to stomp on my own foot.
What are you talking about, Swiss Beach?
Yeah.
How many years ago was that? Any idea?
Yeah,
I
about
don't-
six,
When
six,
it- when
5
it
to
was-
6 years ago.
Right, but when it was paid off with CPC funds, I really would like to find out what that wording was, to make sure we're not changing the original
Yep,
purpose.
that makes sense.
Because I'm thinking it went under open space or something like that, and if it is, it probably means the same, and I get confused over that. They say, you know, open space and recreational use.
You know the answer to that, Al?
I know your wife would know in a heartbeat. And maybe a question, I would like to find out before I get the legal motion. I know she could answer it at a meeting, but I'd like to find out.
You're smiling. You wanna allow him to speak on it, or no? Or no, is it too late?
No,
Okay.
I'll find out, I'll have to research, I'll be calling her up to find out what that date was, because I can't even remember. I want to say 2010, no. Was it, not the original purchase, when we used CPC funds to pay off the debt, to pay off the $1 million. I was in office then, so it wasn't that long ago. I was on this committee at that time,
Pass all the folders down.
2009, 2008 or 9.
I would think. Look at the last year Bruce Avenue was here, you can find that
You
out.
can leave that in there, those other people, I think.
Settle the
Yeah.
court debts. And that's when it went under,
Actually, give me that pile of papers, I'll put it back in Tom's. Oh,
oh,
okay, okay.
oh, so it was
Sorry,
both.
I didn't know that.
That's right, okay.
Hey, Kel,
I can't remember what the original date was.
The issue you're gonna have is CPC feels it should be a conservation restriction, most likely through just dedicating it for open space and recreation. That's the end of it.
I think you should have a deed restriction, should have had one years ago when they did it.
you know,
So there's gonna be a difference between.
There's gonna be, wow, and you two have to sleep together and be on the opposite side of the kitchen table when you're gonna do that? Okay. Can you edit that out, Bob? All right, so just quickly, yeah, everybody can have one of those. We're gonna assign, probably next meeting when we go through some of these, we'll assign them as we do them. So kind of be thinking about,
Thank you, sir.
how you want to write these up or which ones you might want to write up, okay? Now, when we did the motions the last meeting, we went through with, the town moderator, myself, Joan, Marilyn, and that was a nightmare, if you asked me, actually. It really was a nightmare. Derek just said that he was gonna meet with Kelly to try to work on some of the motions ahead of next meeting, especially the ones we want to deal with, so we have a little better language. I really think it's important that legal vet these things before anybody else even looks at them. Because really, getting them and then sending them back to legal, then getting them back again was kind of a nightmare. And I don't have time to do all that typing again. So I'm gonna, find out from Derek to see if they can't go through legal first before we got them.
Well, legal and Claire go through them together.
Yes, they need to sit down
They
together.
pretty much do the majority, don't they, Kelly? Pretty much. I mean, even what we do, they do differently.
Right.
They actually, they do a heck of a good job.
Right. If there's a better way to coordinate it, if two people of this committee would like to be in on those meetings, because they meet in between what we're doing, and coordinate getting the motions proofed before the 10th. I mean, well, before town meeting, basically, but, yeah.
It's hard, Bonnie, because what happens is they meet during the daytime.
Right.
And I know Claire's had to go in there and sit and wait 3 hours. She's been put off.
They're scheduled for this Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Oh.
Oh, so they're gonna start the motions now and get them
Tomorrow?
for
What
legal?
time?
They'll be working on the hours to make sure that it's clean.
Do you know what time?
Okay. Do I have a volunteer who would like to sit on those meetings? It's available?
I would, but I have to be in Boston for test tomorrow, so I can't tomorrow.
Well, if you can't do it tomorrow, just think about it the next meeting.
The next meeting, I
Who would
don't have
like
a problem.
to be part of that team, because I hate to get it at the end. And it,
I can try tomorrow. I know what time the meeting is.
I don't know.
Where?
In
Well, the meeting's set up for Rich,
the town hall.
Peter Talabon and Claire to discuss the hours themselves, and we'll be doing any motions.
All right, well, you know what? I'll email Claire and let her know that you'd like to be part of that team to work on the motions up to town meeting. And then, because it's nice to be able to work all the bugs out, but
Yeah, and Claire will provide us with, you know, ongoing things to let us know. She's
Yeah.
she's real good like that.
But I think one person in the team needs to keep like a clear copy of the changes, because that's what I ended up with, kind of a mess.
Yep.
That there were so many copies getting emailed back and forth.
Yeah.
Changes. Whatever is settled at that meeting, changing over email was just not good. And then just like one primary copy of the changes. And, you know, when you copy over your file and get rid of the other stuff, because I had a mess. And then in the end, that has to all be sent either to Kelly or to,
Can't David just call Claire up and say that he's been approved? She will.
they will.
She will. She will. I mean, she's been very. When I had to put this together, she's been great with me. But if somebody, you know, sits on the meeting, that's great too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we don't want to have someone taking notes and Claire taking notes. Have two different,
it doesn't matter because Claire's notes are the only ones that are going to count.
that's correct.
Right.
That's my point.
Right. Well, Marilyn Donahue actually made the physical changes in the file.
Yeah.
She did that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you want to work this out. You want to send the changes to Kelly and you want to make the motion changes? Okay, whatever the team, I think, decides, that Kelly needs to control the master copy in the end, because I ended up with it, and it's just a good thing that I know how to type. Okay? Because I ended up being the one who formatted the slides for the presentation, because at that point, it was too late to get it back to Kelly to do it, and it was in too many different parts, so I did it myself. And Matt was quite happy that he didn't have to do it, so.
Yeah.
But that's a little step forward. I just want to make sure that, you know, people are interested in doing that and that it goes efficiently at this point. The other thing is, we did get an update of the 5-year capital plan, and capital planning said that they were going to do this quarterly, give us an update, or whenever there's a question. Changes, okay. And we did leave you, David, on the capital planning committee.
That's fine.
That's a mandated committee, at that. Yeah. All right, do we have any questions or concerns or anything else right now? I know I'm forgetting something. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, yes, okay. Here's our other situation. Tonight was not good because of the fact that we are a 5-person board. And we're a 9-person board and we need 5 people to operate, okay? Now, Tom had emailed me that Jeff Tufts had intended to stay. I have not heard any word from Jeff Tufts at all. Then he emailed me and told me that Jeff is working on some, he's coaching a team or something or other. I just left him a message on his home phone number that I really need an answer from him. If he wants to resign, then that's what he needs to do. If he wants to be here, then he needs to attend. Because we can't operate, if we drop a member and it's not a seat filled, all right, then we're 8 and 4 is a quorum, right? But if we're 9 seats filled and I've got 4 people, it's not a quorum.
I thought that if we missed so many that
It,
he was.
it,
3.
it does say in the, but in the, and the bylaws, it clearly says, and it is up to the committee. And I just think that we should make I think we should make a decision.
Right now.
Well, I just would like to know the pleasure of the committee as to whether we send him a letter that he needs to decide whether he wants to stay or leave, and inform the appointing authority that he has not attended meetings.
Can I make a motion too? I mean, can I make a motion on this
Hang on,
article?
John. Go ahead, David.
No, I think it's appropriate for the chair to call Mr. Tufts and
Did.
ask that question.
I will wait till next meeting to see if he responds to me. I gave him my personal phone number, and see if he responds, and I'll let you guys know whether he does or he doesn't.
Thank you.
I hate to see somebody just to leave, but.
I know. Can I just go on record as respectfully disagreeing with that? I think that you should just get rid of him, because he hasn't been here. Nobody, you know, and we need people. I mean, his responsibility, he signed on here, it's his responsibility to let you and everyone else know. No, he let nobody know, even the previous chair. I mean, I'm sorry, we did this with the woman that was the lawyer. I mean, we wasted and wasted time. And it's the burden is just gonna fall on you, Bonnie, because you're gonna be sitting here. We know he gets tied up with business sometimes, and he can't get here at least 20 minutes to a half an hour later, sometimes, okay? So we can't conduct business, and I don't like coming here at 6:30, wasting my time, and wait until 10 minutes to 7.
I always come sometimes. I asked a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Dominic.
Last time he showed up, does anyone know?
I didn't, I was gonna check the meeting,
I'm gonna look.
check the meeting minutes for that.
Yes. I'm sorry, I asked Madam Chair if she knew the last time he was, present, and,
We're gonna check the meeting minutes to find out, but.
yeah. Because I think, like you said, tonight we had to wait. I know I was late, but 4 or 5, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And he's putting everybody out, and he hasn't I would make a motion to dismiss him, but it's.
Well, I will,
Oh, you wanna
take
wait?
that.
We'll wait till, but I think if
I have called him, and like
Yeah.
I said, I, along with this is really making sure that we're all using the email correctly and that everything's being posted on time and stuff, so.
then I-
And that may be a problem that he hasn't been able to use it. I have no idea. I mean, I did talk, I'm working through Tom to speak to him, and I need to speak to him directly.
Can I make, I would like to make a motion that we put it on our agenda to make a decision next meeting.
Do that.
Second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, any other questions or concerns, any other business? All right, I approve,
hold on.
but, I'm sorry, Ellen.
The only date we can have a joint meeting will be October 1st. If you can give Kelly the next day or so, a list of who will be coming, and then I'll see if we can do something.
Okay,
If not, we'll have to work independently.
okay.
And the other piece is whether you have Jeff here or not, your quorum is 5. The committee is constituted as 9 members. You don't have equal numbers, because 4 or 4 is not a quorum. 4 members is half. If you had a vote 4-4, it's a 0 vote. So even if you have 8 members, so you still need 5 total.
Only because Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna question whether you're right or not, I suppose I'd have to look that up, but I do know that under the years that, my first year that I was here, we were 7 for the longest time.
We were.
Technically, if you have 9 members, you're supposed to have, in any committee, the majority is the basis.
Yeah.
If you haven't filled it, doesn't matter. If the charter or the bylaws says.
Well, yeah, I think we still, I mean, I think we still took the odd number at 7 and just made sure we had the,
We did.
well, it's the problem regardless. Yeah,
I'll try to make it on time.
Okay.
I'll make it up in a minute, okay?
Especially if we go live. He's gonna go live on time. We have to be
Yeah.
here.
All right, it's my fault. I'll take responsibility for that.
all right, I got a couple more things here, and you can all go home because I'm tired. All right. Any other business? Approval of meeting minutes for the July 9th.
Make a motion that we approve meetings, the meetings that's submitted by,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstained? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of meeting minutes for July the 23rd.
so moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Abstained? I will entertain a motion for approval of meeting minutes of August the 13th.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? Okay. So next meeting date and time will be next Wednesday, September the 24th at 6:30 PM right here, same place. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstained? Nobody
There we
ever
go.
abstains at that.
Now we